Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we've been working on this thing, and it's not where it was when I saved. The first time I loaded in, it was clipped into the station and exploded, and then I reloaded and it was here. I don't know why. It should have been up over here, I believe. But we're on the Russian side of the station now, and we want to end up docking here. We should have been somewhere up over here. I have no explanation for this behavior. I want to check in on our current electric charge. It's fine because of our solar panel, which is good. So we're going to control from here. I want to point at the target. And we're going to need to go in we're going to need to do some pretty precise maneuvering here, which is going to be complicated. So what I want to do is I want to change these RCS here. Let's see here. That's not going to work then. We're going to have to do this in a very complicated manner. Okay. We're going to put this on kill rot for right now. And in fact, just stay pointing at target for the moment. And we're going to turn RCS on. We're going to need to go, I think, slightly over this way. What direction is that? Well, that's mildly awkward. Okay. Yeah, these directions are going to be very awkward for us. No doubt about that. I want to move forward a little bit here. And our RCS is causing this to just kind of go all over. I'm going to thrust limit these down to 10% thrust, in hopes of tuning that down a little bit. So 10% thrust there. And now what I want to do is I want to just bring this guy right on over. There we go. We're heading towards target here, and we want to head out a little bit aside target because we're going to need to bypass these solar panels, right? So we're going to need to go in a direction here. Unfortunately, now I can't see what direction we're going in, but we can just head out over here and physics warp a bit. Okay, so that's that direction. Gotcha. This is directly towards target. So what we want to do is we want to head out over this way then. Yes. Until such a time as we have cleared target. We also want to head in towards target a little bit here. And just keep this somewhere out over this way. Directionality is a little bit awkward here, but we just want to go this way until we have cleared this, which we're very close to doing now. Let's warp forward a little bit here. How much monoprop do we have left? 5.1? Okay, so not a lot of monoprop, that's for sure. I don't know why it loaded in on this side of the station. I have no explanation for that, or why it loaded into two different places. Like I said, the first time it was clipped into here, and then the second time it loaded in right over here. So maybe that's something to do with like a floating point number calculation or something. I have no explanation for that. In both cases, it was in the wrong place, but at least in this one, it wasn't immediately clipped in and instantly exploding. So there is that. We're just going to head directly towards the target here for the moment. And the hope is, of course, that we bypass this solar panel without destroying it or impacting it in any way. Once we get there, then we're going to have to change our orientation here, of course. But we overall just want to get this thing docked in. Once we do, I'll refill our monoprop tank here. Okay. So we are almost past it. Noted. We're going to need to head out this way a little bit to correct our angling. It's a bit more down than I want it to be. Yeah, more like this. Cool. Let's bring that back now. And we're just going to head in. And hopefully this is close enough. We're a little too high, but whoa, those docking forces were a bit out of control there. But we got there in the end. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this fuel tank, and we are going to grab the monoprop from our dragging capsule, and we're going to, wrong way, we're going to refill that. Okay, that's going to take some time, apparently. So we'll warp as we refill it, And then we're going to need to put this guy back where we found it, which I have forgotten where exactly it was. Like, whether it was port or starboard side. It probably goes here. I'm going to double check that. So I'm pulling up the configuration that we've been working with this entire time. And let's see here. ELC3 goes here. This will be the AMS-02. So it goes on the port side then. Or the starboard side, rather. And yeah, it goes out over here. Gotcha. So on the starboard side, that is going to be the side that has the Columbus European Lab. So that'll be this out over here, which of course the Columbus European Lab is... Wait, this is the Russian module. Okay, the Columbus European Lab is this guy out over here. So it goes right here, if I recall correctly. It goes on the Zenith side. Yes, it goes on the Zenith side. So it ends up going here. Gotcha. We're going to have to do a little bit more work, of course, on this, but for now, what we need to do is we need to undock here. So we'll release that. Clipping through here is absolutely fine. Due to the engine plate, that's not an issue. And now we're going to need to turn RCS on, and I'm going to put us on kill rot. And I want to grab a docking port. It doesn't matter which one, but I want to be able to see our relative motion. Okay. I'm going to RCS this. Hang on. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to RCS this. And we are just bringing this to a bit of a halt for right now. We have a bit of momentum here, and I just want to figure out exactly where we are in terms of that momentum. This'll do. And now, as we previously determined, we want to put it on the starboard side. And it goes up here. Right? Double checking that one more time. That's the Kerbal lab. Right. So the Kerbal lab is on this side. We want it to go the Columbus European lab side. So we want it to go, I think, right around here-ish? Here-ish. Yes. So we're going to need to head to the other side of the station here. Let's make our way out this direction. Cool. I also want to move a bit in the backwards direction here. Oh wait, everything is reversed here. Right. A little bit in the backwards direction here so that we don't hit this solar panel. Cool. Something about like this. And now that we're clear of the solar panel, we can bring that back around. And let's warp a little bit. Our target position is out over here. So we can then bring that to a halt. Which direction would that be? This way. Okay. So we're going to bring that to a halt, and we're just going to go reposition this guy that we're using as a tug here. Okay, so in we go. Want to make sure that we're controlling from this grab arm. We actually weren't. That might make things easier. Cool. I'm not actually sure what we were controlling from, but that's fine. So now what I want to do is I want to rotate us a little bit here in hopes that this gets us into a decent orientation. Okay. So now if we were to go this direction, that is what? Down? Yes, this is up. So let's rotate ourselves to be here. Now we know what direction things are in. Beautiful. So we can bring this back over here. And we want to head out over this way. Now that we know what direction everything is, this will be absolutely fine. So we just want to get a little bit of space up over here, and we're just going to reattach it down this way. We don't really care too much about our monoprop. We're not going to use too much of that as we bring this on in. Beautiful. And like I said last episode, yes, this is a very awkward way to do things, but I think this is the best way that we had to do things, and we will definitely have different ways of doing things on future flights. No doubt about that. Okay, let's bring this down to a halt, because we're going to need to change our directionality here. So specifically what we need to do is we need to angle up a little bit and head in about this angle. So RCS on, and we are accelerating. Cool. Once we arrive about here or so, we're going to bring it to a halt again, and we'll angle this over until we have gotten in position to anchor on. And of course, we're still going to have to build our full module that we just attached, right? So that's absolutely fine as well. Okay, let's bring this to a halt. 2, 1, 0. RCS off. And I want to turn and angle us at the truss segment here. I think we're going to have to head a little bit off to the right, which now that we've turned, I'm not 100% certain which way that is. But RCS on, and we can determine it. Kind of this way, but mostly like this way. Okay. Now we're going to head in. Cool. And we're going to need to angle this. Yep, to be about here. Cool. I'm just going to rotate us around to be like so. Oh, I think we're grabbing. Yep, we have grabbed. Okay, so that is replaced now. That'll do. And next we need to have Bill EVA, because we've got more work to do. So Bill is going to EVA here, and we are going to go grab on somewhere. So we're going to have to let go here, RCS on, and we're going to do an awkward flip. Thanks, Bill. And we're going to head off over this way. So, mission number 1, as far as this goes, is, I think, grabbing on... I'd like to grab on right here. I don't know if we can actually do it because of the storage of these modules here. Yeah, that doesn't appear to want to grab on there. I think we're going to head back over here first. Come on, Bill, you can stop tumbling. Turn your RCS back on, and let's just grab on here for right now. Can we reach up over this way, is the question. So let's take a look here. I'd like to remove this module here. This is no longer necessary. We can grab it from there, so that looks good. We get that out of there, and this guy gets replaced where we found it, which was right here. There we go. And now all of these can just be moved onto here. And I think we can reach from here, so that's great. We'll grab this guy as soon as the game gets caught up. There we go. And I want to attach this to this attach point, or a attach point here. An attach point. It doesn't matter which one. This one will do. Cool. Again, as soon as the game gets caught up, we'll do the others. I think it is, actually. It just didn't stop highlighting it. Okay, sure. Well, that's fine. We can rotate this guy around this way. I want to get this in this far port here. If we can reach it. We appear to be having a bit of a hard time reaching it. Yeah, it really wants to put it in that center port. I'll put it here for now. And hopefully it doesn't have a problem with these clipping together. If it does, we'll have to find a solution to that. Okay, yeah, the problem here is just one of distance. So we're going to let go here, and we are going to... Anytime you want to be under control, Bill, that would be great. We're just going to hop up over to the cupola module, and we're going to grab on up here. We should have the reach from here to reach anything that we need. So that'll be fine. We'll just grab on here. Are you actually grabbed on there, Bill? He actually is, remarkably. Okay, so we're going to grab this guy next, with the idea being to attach that not in that center port. So we are definitely running into some clipping issues here. It doesn't want to let us put this in the center port. It also doesn't want to let us put it in any of the other ports. So we are running into that issue. And how do we want to solve that? Well, oh, hello. We can attach it here. This is not attached to the correct position, but we can attach it there and then move it into place. It's pretty close, actually. So let's go into the move tool. Let's grab this guy, put it in local positioning, and we would just want to... Actually, what we should do here, I think, is we should move these out a bit. So it ends up being something kind of like this, where they are all like a little bit spread out. And we'll tighten them back together once we get them all placed. There we go. So that'll work for now. Now we need to grab our other two. And we should be able to place those. So I want to place this guy in the center port, most likely. That one's not going to be able to be moved, though. So we might actually want to place this in the outer port here. It really doesn't want to go into that port. Yeah, it really doesn't want to go into that port. It doesn't actually matter where this thing ends up getting placed here, though, as long as it is about here. So we'll do something like that. That'll be fine for now. And then we'll use the move tool to attempt to move it out of here. That's in a slightly awkward local rotation, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. So just position this out here like this. I wish that we could... I think our problem here is actually the positioning of the Clampatron docking port. But this should be fine. I think we can find a solution here. So what we need to do now is we need to grab this guy and get it placed as well, right? And the question is, can we attach it to this docking port? I think the answer to that is... Hang on. For a moment there, it's green, and then it goes red. That just might be something to do with frame rate. I'm going to put this down here. I think that we need to move these out ever so slightly. It's definitely clipping. So the question is, can we place it in the center if we have these moved further out? So I just want to make sure that all of these are not going to be clipping at all. So we're just going to move all of them along one of these axes until they have sufficient distance here. So just something like that. Then we grab this guy again. And we see, is the problem the docking port? No, it was the clipping. Okay, beautiful. So we can put this in here. There we go. And now we can move these more like where we want them to be. So this one is going to be moved in to be about here. This one in absolute space is going to be moved to be about here. This one in absolute space is fine. It's going to be moved about here, but I want to move it up a little bit. Oh, that moves it significantly in. I see. Okay. Let's put it back in local space, and we'll have to move it up this way. It'll be mildly awkward due to the rotation, but that is fine. Okay, so we'll need to position this about... Yeah, definitely awkward due to the rotation. We could fix the rotation, to be clear, but for now, this seems relatively good. Okay, I want to check in on this guy. Yeah, we could definitely move this a little forward, about there. And then this one will need to be moved in local space up this way, and then a little bit in here. About like that. Okay. That should do. So now let's exit Kerbal construction mode. We should be done with that, or close enough to done with it. And we can now open our inflatable module here. Of course, we had to create our module out of multiple inflatable airlocks, right? This is not how this was intended to be built, but we had to make do with the parts we had. So we'll just have to imagine that that's all one big inflatable module. We'll have to use a little bit of imagination there, but that's fine. Now, we do have a broken solar panel here, and I'm not too concerned about that. It'll be okay. We're going to expend that solar panel anyway, so I'm not going to bother with repairing it. We'll have plenty of power. It's fine. So at this point, we are done here. We do not need to do anything else with this particular flight. we can bring Bill on in. When are you going to be able to grab here, Bill? There you go. Grab, and as soon as you can, board. Fantastic. So now we can, of course, detach our dragging capsule, although we may as well close our service bay. There we go. And we can detach this and pull away from the station. We are completed with this particular mission, and we now want to go into RCS mode and simply back away from the station. Excellent. So we'll get a little bit of distance here, and then we can try out our new and improved deorbiting boosters here, which are really supposed to be used for emergency separation, but here we are. We can close our Clampetron shielded docking port, and let's head on over to orbital retrograde, and let's see if we are in a safe direction. This does look relatively safe, actually. Yeah, this looks very safe. So we can turn our RCS on, and we can begin to decelerate in this direction. And we can see we are dropping, but we want to use our deceleration engines at this point. So let's do that. So these are not improved in their power. They're very loud. Okay. They are not improved in their power levels, but they are improved in their directionality. So I want to see just how far that ends up moving the needle on the periapsis height. That entire time I was RCSing as well, so it's about 250. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And of course, that gets us moving pretty quickly away from the station, which allows the station to unload, which allows us to physics warp, which would be absolutely nice at this point. No doubt about that, because it is slow to reduce our speed at this juncture. But it will get faster over time. So that is looking absolutely fine. This will unload in, about another 1.5 kilometers. It'll take some time. That was an awkward mission, I'm not going to lie. We did fail the recovery of the launch vehicle, and that was due to attitude control at the end there. To be clear, that's a problem that was had in real life as well. So we'll get that solved. The question is, how long will it take? And as far as this goes, yeah, our deployment was really, really awkward here. Because I was planning to Kerbal construct it, and we couldn't Kerbal construct the engine plate. That was the only reason that got awkward. So it's absolutely fine. We are now at 2.3 kilometers away from the station. It is going to unload very, very soon, and that is going to drastically increase performance. Which also means we're going to start decelerating faster, which is kind of an odd situation. It's apparently not frame rate independent, but whatever. We're going to physics warp here as we continue to decelerate. And we will, of course, be bringing this periapsis height down to about 10 kilometers. And then we'll be ejecting this guy in a non-trajectory interfering way. So we're down to about 170 now, as we physics warp our way on through here. It does take some time to deorbit with this, but, it works reasonably well, so I don't see any reason to add any further propellant to our dragon capsule. I think it's fine, all things considered. Down to 130. And we're just targeting 10 kilometers here. How are we doing on monoprop? We've got so much monoprop, so it's not a concern. Down to 100. It's a little on the slow side, no doubt about that. 80. And we are officially suborbital now. Fantastic. But again, we're just targeting 10 kilometers. It'll be fine. Down to 50. Not the speediest process in the world, but it's okay. We get there. And it's cheap. It's very, very cheap. We are going to be throwing away some monoprop here, so I guess if we want to be maximally efficient, what we should do is take this down to 10, which we currently are at. And what we would do then is we would make sure that this monoprop is full, which it actually is. It's pulling from this monoprop tank exclusively, which is good. Okay, so in that case, we are going to jettison our trunk section. We no longer need it, and we are now ready for re-entry. Although I did jettison it in a slightly awkward direction, but it should be fine. We're high enough up that that's not going to cause an issue. So we're just going to fall on down here. Apparently we have a light shining on the planet very brightly, and we shouldn't. That is clearly a bug. And we're going to head over to surface velocity minus, and we are going to physics warp our way through this landing. So what are we looking at as far as our landing locations go? Well, it's hard to tell, but I'm guessing this is going to be a land landing? No, maybe not. Those things exploding was our trunk section burning up. That is expected. Fully expected. So I do want to do a little bit of work after we get back, and that'll be a next episode sort of thing. I want to do a little bit of work on our recovery of that first stage. We did have a couple of successful recovery attempts with a sharper gravity turn, or actually a less sharp gravity turn, I guess I should say. Yeah, that would be a less sharp gravity turn. Okay, we can get our chutes out here. This is going to be a water landing. It's absolutely fine. Okay, water landing is the ideal for this, to be clear. It's supposed to be a water landing. Okay, so, yeah, I do want to work on the recovery of that first stage. That attitude control is the problem. We just didn't have enough time to bring it back around. Additional gimbaling would do the trick. We could upgrade our engines to the other engine type that we considered using that are like 50% more expensive. If they result in us being able to recover it, that would probably be worthwhile because we'll recover a significant amount of that cost. As it is right now, if recovery continues to be spotty, we'll have to do something about that, obviously. We'll continue to attempt recovery. And we'll see how that ends up going. We might run a couple of revertible test flights and just work on technique for that. But for now, of course, we need to recover this. That is that flight completed. And because that is a full-on flight, we do need to get our payment for it. No matter whether we recover or not, we're quite profitable on this. I want to be clear about that. We are quite profitable. It's like 130K of pure profit every single time. So we're doing pretty well on that front, no doubt about it. We'll get our payment as soon as we've loaded in, and it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as soon as we get that payment. Anytime you want to load in KSP, that would be great. It's thinking about it. There we go. Fantastic. So we'll get our payment here, and that will be fine. Boom. Okay, so next episode, we're probably going to run a couple of quick tests, and they will be quote-unquote revertible. Because of the way that this works, we can't exactly use the reversion feature, but we'll discuss that next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Kintogan, Ali Lee, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.